Promoting healthy habits to like good hygiene will be able to help them, so there will be less diseases and they won't be as likely to get sick, because staying clean is very helpful and necessary to live healthy, and without it we'd be getting sick. That's why helping the youth in Tanzania with having good hygiene is very important to them.
A big part of our mission is about education. When we think of our schools here, gosh, it starts, I know it starts like in the elementary school that our kids are taught about their bodies and they're taught about how their bodies function. It needs to be taught. Our kids need to know, they need to understand how their bodies work. That's just not something that the kids in Tanzania are getting. And so this is something that we're bringing to them and we're helping them to understand how their bodies work, how their bodies function, so that they don't feel embarrassed about their bodies or so they don't feel like this is something that's a taboo subject. That's something that when we think back on it, that's something from our grandmother's days where they felt like this was a subject that just was something you didn't even mention, you didn't even talk about, and it was an embarrassment. As they learn more about their bodies and the functioning of their bodies, then they can start thinking more about respecting themselves, respecting their bodies, respecting the control over their bodies, and being able to control the use of their bodies, being able to say no to sexual activities, and maybe eliminating so much of that young teenage pregnancy that also keeps them out of school, keeps them from realizing their futures. Right now, there is so much teenage pregnancy because that's just the way it is. We need to give them education. We need to teach them about their bodies. We need to teach them about bodily functions. And we need to teach them about body respect. These are just some things that we just need to give them education. Things that our kids just grow up knowing.
Again, I think it comes down to knowledge being power. Sometimes they don't necessarily have the understanding from what we've heard so far. This is coming from the Ngozi Foundation, their information. This is who set up our trip for us, who's been working with this youth, and they're telling us, again, we're listening, that some of these girls don't know about the menstruation cycle, that they don't know what it means, or many times, and part of it is they lose school because they don't have the means to do anything with it. And so part of that is bringing down pads, things that can promote that. But then how do you use those? How do you make sure they're clean so that they don't cause problems? And so all of that is part of the information. Again, information can be power if it's shared and understood. And so that's our job, is to help listen to what they already know and add to, or how can we facilitate in that manner.
Healthy habits, it's an interesting term. The things that we tend to do every day becomes what shapes us for the future. So what we're doing now on a regular basis is likely going to shape what we do every day in the future, right? So as we look at our habits on a daily basis and go, is that really helping me? Is that actually helping me get to the next level? Is that a waste of time? Or is it actually helping me to get to a higher place? And by taking a look at those things, we can do a self-assessment and go, you know what, that activity may not be the best use of my time. Maybe I should do this instead. We start to create new habits. And those habits could be about anything. It could be about what we eat. It could be about the time spent. It could be about who we're connecting with every day. It could be how creative we are every day. Do we spend enough time in a creative mode, or is it just a task completion mode? And so creating habits that are aligned with who we are and that help us to get into those routines that at the end of the day help us feel like, wow, I did the best I could. I was the most productive in all the areas of my life. I put in good things and I produced good things that I set out into the world. That's what we can do. I think that's where your talent comes in, and your mom's talent too, is helping people to see how they can do more for their bodies physically and in regard to wellness and nutrition. And that is so important in all of the other decisions we make, because if we're not putting healthy things in our bodies, then our brains aren't thinking well, and that creates this lack of creativity and production and cognitive skills. So I'm excited about you and your mom being part of that.
I think you can't succeed at anything if you're not healthy and if you don't have these resources. And I think everybody should have a baseline. Nobody should be struggling to get necessities that are essential for one to succeed in their life. And I think what we're doing is we're going and we're trying to teach skills to create opportunities for all these children. You can't succeed at anything if you're not healthy and if you don't have these. I think you can't succeed at anything if you're not healthy and if you don't have these resources. And I think everybody should have a baseline. Nobody should be struggling to get necessities that are essential for one to succeed in their life. And I think what we're doing is we're going and we're trying to teach skills.
I always love this phrase, health is wealth, and I'm a firm believer that mental being can change your life entirely. How you view something is how it manifests itself in reality. So teaching people the power of positive thinking and how to empower themselves can not only create immense change with themselves and in their own lives, but can create this sustainable chain where they teach their friends and their family members the same things that they're hopefully going to learn on this trip. I always love this phrase, health is wealth.
That's a question that I almost want to look back at you and say, you got to remember one thing, in that these kids are just kids, just like you. They may have less technology, they may have less assets, but they are still kids at the end of the day. And they like to eat candy just as much as you do and I do. And so those kinds of healthy habits, I think we will just promote the same kind of healthy habits you would here and make sure that they have the things they need, toothbrushes and things like that. But one of the biggest issues we know to be true is that the young women don't have the proper hygiene to handle something that's very natural in their lives that may throw them for a loop when they're 10 to 12 to 13 years old and they get their periods, and don't have the things they need to continue living a normal, what we would call a normal life, go to school every day and continue their normal life for that 1 week out of the month. And that's what's probably prompting all of this dropout rate, stigmatization. And I can only imagine how the girls feel when they can't go to school or don't feel like going to school or feel like they're getting ridiculed because they don't have proper hygiene and proper products. So obviously we are going to promote that to see how much we can impact the end of that. There's another film that was made by a friend of mine, actually, was involved in the productions called Period End of Sentence, that focused primarily only on this issue in India. And it's a good education to watch that movie. And my kids who are going to make a film, not just about that issue, but just watch that movie. And it followed several stories of a group of women and how it changed them and how it empowered them to get a machine that could make these products and even earn money by selling the products that the people and the women needed. So if we can have impact like that's going to last, and that's global. And the PAD project, as you see, right they're one of our they've donated products to us. So there's a ripple effect right there. The PAD project didn't even exist 4 years ago. This film won the Academy Award in 2018, Period End of Sentence. And the PAD project was born from that. And they said a big yes to us when we said we need these reusable pads. They got them to us. So that's impact. That's actually happening. You can see it and feel it.
Donate to empower the voices of Tanzanian children.
Donate to globally connect all our voices.
Donate to help the voices of Tanzanian youth dream bigger and beyond their circumstances.
Donate to help the teenagers of Tanzania help their communities become stronger today.
Donate to let all the children's voices be heard.
Donate to help youth like me.
Go right now to speakfeedlead.org to our Tanzania 2024 campaign.